Today's episode is sponsored by Dynasty Athletic Performance and NC Football Connections.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the All Season 365 podcast. Be sure to follow us on X, Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube and Spotify channels. Today, we have a special guest. We have Coach Terron Colson, defensive coordinator at Kiski School in Saltsburg, Pennsylvania. I'm sorry. Coach, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well and blessed.
Appreciate you for hopping on, Coach. So before we get into today's feature topic, we're going to be touching on a number of different things. We're going to be talking about Coach's experience in the coalition, defensive coordinator, and specifically linebacker play too. But before we get to that, give our viewers a quick overshot of your career journey to this point.
Well, I started coaching in 2014. I went back home to Miami at Miami Southwest Senior High School because I pretty much was lost. Life after football, it could be a struggle for a lot of players, especially if you've been playing for a long time. So at that time, I was working on like 2 different group homes with the elderlies and behavioral individuals. And I went back to my high school and talked to my old defensive coordinator about, just life in general. And he was like, you ever thought about coaching? We need a JV coach. And I'm like, Coach, this generation different. I don't know if they're ready for that old school type of coaching. And he was like, nah. You're that type of player that I just know that will make an easy transition to coaching these young guys. So my first year coaching, I did very well as a JV defensive coordinator, linebacker coach. The head start called me Mr. Gooseegg because nobody could score on me. And I just fell in love all over again. I just felt like that football player all over again. And that opened up doors for me to be the varsity linebacker coach. And then after 4 years of coaching there, I got a phone call on Christmas Eve from Javi Valdez and Somerset Seal Palms. And he said, hey, I'm looking for a defensive coordinator. And I'm like, you see for And he was like, yeah, I've been watching you for a while on social media. You seem very passionate about what you do and about the kids, community service, player of the week, academic player of the week. I'm like, okay, look, if you willing to give me an opportunity, I'm willing to come, man. He gave me an opportunity and ended up doing some good things there. Then I followed my mentor to South Miami Senior High School. It was an honor to coach with him because he coached me when I was a little kid. So so Artez Knight, yes. So I got his program going as a defensive coordinator there, and then I got a call to be a head coach at Somerset South Homestead, which I told myself I would never be a head coach because that's more of delegate and management. You got to deal with the administrations and stuff like that. And me, I'm more of just a hands-on coach. So I did that for a year, and I was blessed and lucky because I had a little bit of both. Where St. Vincent College head coach during that time, he came down to recruit my players, and he loved the things I was doing. And it went from talking for 30 minutes to 3 hours, and he ended up asking me what it's going to be, what it's going to take for me to come up in Pennsylvania and take over as a linebacker coach. I'm like, a contract and, to convince my wife to come up here and just the opportunity. Like, to me, it wasn't even money at that time. It was just more of just the opportunity to grow and develop as a coach because I would never have guessed I get an opportunity to coach at the collegiate level. So I came up to St. Vincent College, which everybody knows home of the Pittsburgh Steelers training camp. And I coached there for 2 years. Both years, all my linebackers made all conference. So that was a blessing itself. Unfortunately, the head coach was let go, and he took over the Kiski job, and he contacted me. He was like, hey, look, I'm at Kiski right now. What do you think about coming over? And I'm like, dude, you're the first guy that gave me an opportunity when nobody would. And so, of course, and last season was our first year, and was end up making a lot of noise that last season on defense. So I'm planning on doing the same thing this year.
Well, congratulations on that, Coach. And what I appreciate most about your journey is that it's humble beginnings. And as former players, a lot of people don't really see that transition period from playing, playing at a high level, et cetera, to transition into the something else, right? Like you, I had no idea that I wasn't even going to get into coaching. I got into sales, to be honest, but it's one of those things where I went home just to see my old high school practice. I saw my old high school coach, talked to him. He was like, hey, man, is this something that you might want to do? Like you, I was like, I don't know if I want to do this right here, right? But I started off as a volunteer coach, man, and 15 years later, here I am. So that's just how the game go. sounds to me like you capitalized on your opportunity. And that's very important especially for our younger coaches who might get discouraged in the process, man. So thank you for sharing your story. And man, we're going to touch on climbing the ladder too as well, but appreciate you for sharing your story too, so many. All right, so let's go ahead and get to it, Coach. So first things first, let's talk about your experience in the coalition. For those who don't know, Coach and I, we're proud members of the coalition for minority coaches. He recently just presented about linebacker play. I got a chance to check it out. It's very good stuff. But so what has been the biggest reward of coaching while associated with the coalition, Coach?
Oh man, the knowledge that you gain, like you would think you know everything, but when you go to, especially when you go to the convention, like all the panels and all the sessions that they have, I just had gained so much what they call the golden nuggets. So the things I'm sitting here taking notes, I'm like, okay, I need to add that to my PowerPoint once I get back to PA. So a lot of the golden nuggets that I was able to bring back, not only for myself, but for my head coach as well. Because at the end of the day, even though I'm a coordinator, I'm his assistant coach. It's my job to make sure that he looked good. So I made sure that a lot of stuff that I learned from the head coach panel, I brought to his attention was make us as a whole get better. Because if he get better, if he climbing, I'm climbing as well. So I wanted to make sure that he's taken care of. And oh man, and the promotion. Like they promote their mess out you. I mean, I haven't had this much promotion since I was a player, to be honest. So it was definitely a privilege. And man, once again, it's just the educational part. And they want to make sure that we help each other and make sure that we continue to learn. And not just the football part, the financial part, the NIL part, the wellness part. That really had hit me. You know, the wellness part, because I was one of those guys that was to take care of himself, wasn't going to doctor's appointment. I'm like, I ain't playing more. What's the point of getting the physical? Like, what's the point of it? And it made me realize I need to check with my my family background to see what's going on. With high blood pressure, diabetes, and whatnot. So that had got me to really thinking. And I'm looking at my kids. I'm looking at my wife, and then the players that I want to mentor for a long period of time. I'm like, if I don't take care of myself, how can I help take care of them? So now I go to a doctor every 3 months now to make sure that things good. I'm on my diet now, because I was starting to look like an old lineman. I was looking like no linebacker no more. So I had to make sure I get myself back right.
Yeah, and you brought up a good point as well. This is my first year of going to the convention in DC. Fantastic experience. Moving forward, I'm going to go to all of them. No matter where it's at, I'm there. But like you said, man, what I appreciate most about it was the opportunity to fellowship with a lot of different coaches. Minorities were there, but there were other coaches there as well. And that was very good. The panels was fantastic. And most importantly, and Coach Simmons down there at FIU talked about it, right? It wasn't so much about us trying to push our players to college coaches. It was just, we're breaking bread, man, exchanging ideas, talking about wellness, talking about work-life balance, right? Talking about, we talked about some X's and O's too, but day one was more, taking care of yourself and wisdom. And then day two was more the X's and O's and learning. So, so again, for those who's on the rope about joining, man, check it out. It's worth your time. And they do a really good job of preparing you to step into any role. It could be a coordinator, it could be assistant coach, head coach. It don't matter. Like, they do a good job of preparing you for that, so thank you for that. So you also a defense coordinator, man. I get this question from a lot of assistant coaches all the time. Hey, what does it take to be a coordinator, especially from the defensive side? So you serve as a defensive coordinator. You serve as a coordinator on different levels. So how do you simplify? Let's talk about that a little bit. How do you simplify your defensive system so players can play fast without thinking too much? Because you know that if players are playing slow, you got to pull them off the field.
Yes. Well, you pretty much broke it down one word: simplify. Like, it's not what you know. And the good thing about me, I have an educational background. I was a history teacher, so I learned like there's several different ways to teach players. Which you have the reading and writing, you have the visual, you have the listening, and you have hands-on. And these days, the players are more hands-on than anything. So I learned like, okay, now let me look at my players first. So am I able to run the 3-4 with these guys? Am I able to run the 4-2-5 with these guys? Am I able to run a 4-3 with these guys? So I make sure to keep everything simple. Like me, I'm a one-gap scheme guy. You know, I don't want them to have too many responsibility. And once again, keep things simple. And I let them be involved. I make sure they have a voice. So sometimes I even give them a opportunity to say, hey, what do you want to call this coverage? Hey, what you want to call that? Like, make sure they involved, because at the end of the day, I care less how you remember. I just want you to remember the play, and then I also want you to have fun with it. I always say we're gonna have a party on the football field. So the ultimate goal is just to make sure that they understand the material. So I do like crazy amount of Zoom with guys. Like sometimes I do Zooms to like 12, 1 o'clock in the morning almost every day, because we have not only local kids, we have international kids. So we got kids from Germany, we got kids from France, we got kids from like 4 different countries. So of course their football is a little bit different. So I want to make sure they have the same advantage of the local kids. So I do crazy amount of Zoom meetings with them at different times, of course, because of different time zone. So at one time I do a meeting at 11 a.m. There's sometimes doing a meeting at 3 a.m. I have to set my alarm to wake me up just to do a Zoom meeting with them. But I tell my players all the time, I'm going to do whatever it takes to put you in the best situation possible to be successful.
I like it. And you also hit on keeping that thing as simple as possible so those guys can play fast. But what I appreciate most about your approach is you believe in giving them say. And it's not so much that, you know, they're creating the coverage, but you're giving them, because I mean, at the end of the day, football is football, right? And coaches are coaches, but you are giving them a chance to name it, and you're giving them ownership, because at the end of the day, man, like we're on the sideline, right? We had our chance. That's said and done. We're on the sideline. They're on the field, and they're the ones that have to make those plays in real time and play fast. So I think that's a cool approach. So what is your process for adjusting your defense during the game when an offense is having some success?
It's still going back to the players. Like, I'm a big firm believer of leadership, and part of leadership and how you become a leader, you just got to get those guys to trust you. So the thing is, it have to go both ways. So every time my linebackers, my D lines, they come to the sidelines, I ask them, what do you see? So I can see what's going on the tablet. I can ask them in the press box, hey, what's going on? But I want to know, what do you see? And then I ask them, okay, it's not working, so what play you think will work? Like, and I know some people think I'm crazy, like, hold up, you asking to play, you asking a 16, 17-year-old. Yes, because the thing is, we have a scheme in place. Like, I would never call a play that we never went over in practice, but let me know what play have been working for you so you can make the play. And it have not yet failed me in the 10 years I've been a defensive coordinator. I would just ask them, like, hey, what play will work? Hey, coach, if you send me on this gap right, I guarantee I get to the play. I said, okay, but if you know you can't get there, you know I got you on Monday.
There we go. but and I love that approach, because you know that also directly connects with the confidence of a player. So if players are coming to you in real time, because you know, as a coordinator, man, like you know that you got the box, you know that they're giving you feedback, you got assistant coaches around you, they want to share, you got your head coach, you got players. There's a lot of stuff going on, right? A lot of stuff. We'll talk about streamlining communication on a later date. But when players come to you say, hey, coach, this is going to work, they're basically saying, hey, coach, it's on us to get this thing done. So for them to take ownership of that, you say, all right, cool deal. Let's get it done. And for them to step up and make those plays, I think that's pretty cool. That speaks a lot about your culture, you know. So how do you teach your players? Let's talk about like offensive formations and tendencies pre-snap, because that's all about film and all that good stuff. So how do you teach your players to recognize offensive formations and tendencies on pre-snap?
Well, first, I teach the players. So the first thing I do when I first have my group, I send them on through our group chat, hey, this is a diagram of the defensive line. 1 tech, 2 tech, 3 tech. Because you'd be surprised. When my first year at St. Vincent College, I had 17 inside linebackers, and more than half of them didn't even know gaps. Like they didn't know A gap, B gap, C gap, because unfortunately, and there's no knocking on high school coaches, but there's some coaches that skip that and they manage talent instead of develop talent. So I teach my guys. So I teach them the route tree. I teach them the gaps. I teach them the scheme. I tell them what to look for. So with my defense, I said D-line. This is what I need to look for. So for each individual position, the nose, the tackle, my hybrid linebacker, my DN, each position, I tell them what to look out for. So my DN may look at the spacing of the gaps. You know, my hybrid linebacker, he may look at the spacing between the quarterback and the running back. My inside linebacker, I had one linebacker pay attention to the cadence and the body movement and any signals that he probably giving out. My other linebacker, I tell him, hey, see if they making any adjustment when it comes to how we line up. based off our defense. So I give each position a responsibility. So instead of just telling them, hey, watch film and look at Tennessee, they don't know what they're looking for. So you have to teach them how to watch film. So I give everybody responsibility, then we come together and then we share with each other so everybody be on the same page.
That's a great approach too. And you brought up a good point about watching film. And to be honest with you, man, I didn't know how to watch film until I went to college. No knock to my high school coaches, but all they said was, hey, listen, this is what they line up in. This is what they do and play ball. All right, fair enough. But when you go to college, at the end of the day in college, everybody is talented. Everybody. So the question is, can you digest the playbook? Okay.
Yes.
Do you know the checks? And can you make plays? Right. And if you could check off 3 of those boxes, you'll play. But if you're missing one of those checks, forget about it. So that's a good approach.
Yeah, you gotta be smart when it comes to that, because the thing is, when I call plays in the game, my free safety, he make every adjustment for pass. My middle linebacker, my right linebacker, he make all the adjustment when it comes to what we play. So we'll go over and practice, say, hey, if they line up like this, or if they show this, we're going to check to this. So the thing is, when I'm on the sidelines, I'm just a fan. Like, I'm just watching. Yeah. I will make whatever adjustment I need to make, but they are the one really directing the defense. So they know every adjustment. So my linebacker know, like, okay, they came out empty. Okay, we need to check this. He will make sure everybody line up. The same thing with the safety. He will check the coverages and change the coverage based off of what they like to do. So I always make sure that I have coaches on the football field.
And that's definitely what it is, especially on the defensive side. You have the trips check. You have the 2-back sets, you have the tight end sets, and as a coach, you have to put that time in to make sure that they make the play call correct. So let me ask you this: when it comes to evaluating defensive players, before we segue to linebacker, what are the most important traits you look for when evaluating defensive players at the high school level?
Well, I literally have a breakdown of every position. So with linebacker, I look for certain things like are they flexible? Are they able to bend? Like proper stance, burst, quickness, how physical they are, and are they leaders? Like, and we have different type of leaders. So that's what a lot of people don't understand. We have different types. You got the vocal one, the rah-rah, Ray Lewis guys. You see what I got in the back.
I see that.
Then you have those that just lead by example, which I've been lucky to have both, especially at that linebacker position. I have one that he really don't talk a lot, but he definitely give out a big bang, with gameplay. Then you have the other linebacker where he loved that attention, so I let him be him. And that's what's most important about being a coach, being the coordinator, being a linebacker coach. You gotta let them be them. Like me, like that was hard for me as I transitioned to a coach, because I try to be like Nick Saban, I try to be like Mike Tomlin. Then when Coach Prime came, I try to be like Coach Prime. So I'm doing what he's doing, and I had to realize like me is good enough.
Yeah,
I try to make sure that they know it.
Yeah, you definitely have to be you always. And for any coaches that's listening, man, at the end of the day, just do what your head coach say. But most importantly, be yourself, because if players sense that you're not being yourself, they're not going to believe you, man. So just be who you are. Yeah, absolutely. They could point that out immediately. So let's transition to linebacker play. So what traits do you look for in linebackers to execute your defensive scheme effectively?
Oh, first, eye discipline. Like, one thing defensive coach will realize, the hardest thing to train is the eyes when it comes to defense, because your eyes wander, especially if there's a lot of movement going on, their eyes wander. So understand your primary read as a linebacker. That definitely help you out. Toughness, being physical, that does help. That's why I tell people linebackers is not for everybody, because it's an attitude. Like, you have to have a certain attitude. Like, I'm originally from Miami, so you gotta have a type of swag. You gotta have a type of energy to play that position. So the first thing, I display and be coachable. And you have to understand, like, with my linebacker groups, like I hold them to a certain standard. So we're there. We're the first one on the practice field. Like, so we have pre-practice. We don't go to pre-practice. We got pre-practice. So they know, like, we're there 15 minutes prior to the pre-practice. Then we got pre-practice. Then we got practice. Then we got post-practice. So we want to make sure, and that all determine about how we practice. Like me, we don't take false steps. Like, if you watch any clip on any games we play, you never see a false step, because we pick and nitpick on those little things, because the little details on the way we will get far. Because I was an undersized linebacker. So I like to teach my guys the game. So we talked a little bit earlier about film study. So I make sure they understand how to watch film. We watch film together, and I tell them what to watch. I make sure they understand that the game is all about leverage and angles.
That's
So
it.
the on one of the other hardest things, it teaches my guys about our depth. Like we play at the 5-yard depth, but you have other linebackers, they like to play at 3.5 yards. And I be telling my guys, hey man, let them big boys run, back up, and beat them with speed and angles.
Yeah. You also can get caught in the wash too, man. If you play too close to that line of scrimmage, and with the way these linemen are now, man, they get their hands on you. Forget about it, man. Because as you know, they ain't calling no holes in the trenches. Like they're not going. They're not unless there's a player getting tugged and pulled. Man, the referees let the big boys inside play, man. So help yourself out with your depth.
I'm a big firm believer, and they know, because I told them I've been playing linebacker for a long time, so I could look at you and know that you're not at 5 yards. So they got to the point where they'll go to the ball on game day and they'll count 5 yards sometimes. Like if it's like between the hash, they'll make sure that they line up correctly because they know I'm gonna get them on doing film study time. But yeah, I discipline, like that'd be the hard. So the first thing, besides the stance and starts, the next thing we do on this drill called reaction drill, which they just go by my case. If I'm pointing my shoulder, they drop and read my upfield shoulder. If I step down, they feel them right now and open up their hips. So eye discipline is like one of the hardest things. That's why I teach my DB coach, D-line coach, eye discipline is a huge thing. So yes, the physical part, it does come with the game. It's a violent game, but you got to know what you're looking at. So with my linebackers, they already know. Our first read is the guard, our second read is the running back, which I call sorry about that. Headset.
Oh, you good.
Which I call main chick, side chick. Cause I try to speak their language. So a lot of times I be doing these clinics, they be like, hold up, main chick, side chick. I say, God, no offense to nobody. I'm trying to speak their language.
I got to reach my players.
I got to reach my players. And I do the same thing with the DBs because we read the number 2 receiver. So I told them, number 2 receiver is your main chick. The number 1 receiver is your side chick because the number 1 receiver tends to lie a lot. So I try to speak their language so they can understand. And that's what it's all about. I go back to on the beginning of our conversation. You want to make sure they understand and retain the information. So I always make sure that I try to speak their language a little bit. I'm trying to stay a little bit young. I'm getting older, but I'm trying to stay a little bit young to speak their language.
Yeah, I gotta steal that. That's comical right there, man. I said my kids like, what? But hey,
they never forget it. Right? Yes, they don't forget it. Like I've been doing, I've been using that since like 2016, and still to this day, I have players that went to college, NFL, and they said, "Coach, that main chick, side chick, coach, it still works." I said, "Yeah, man, it would never fail you."
Oh man, I love it. So how do you coach linebackers to handle their run fits while still being able to drop into pass coverage?
Oh man, drills, repetition, muscle memory. Like drills, and and no knock to people that use YouTube drills because it's there to be a resource. But I tell people, use game situation drills. I know there's a lot of linebacker drills out there that have them turn, twirl, and do this. But me, I like to use nothing but game situation. So if I cannot show you on film that it will transition to a game, I don't use it. So when it comes to that, like they already know we are a heavy run defender first. So you got to take your re-steps. And our re-steps are not just going forward. Like I tell them, the line moving 45 degrees, we moving to 45 degrees. So when we take our re-step, 6 inches, 45 degrees. Once we recognize pass, that's when you go drop to a 45-degree angle. And I always use angles. I always tell them degrees because that's the language. I always try to make a transition to school because, like I said, like I'm a big school academic guy. So I always tell them like, hey, 45 degrees, and make sure they understand what you're talking about because that's one thing about football terminology. We say these things and the kids don't understand what you're talking about.
That's true, and never assume, that Adam, what coach just said, man, never assume that the players know anything, man. Like if you got to build it from the ground up, so be it. Teach it correctly the first time so that they don't miss it, So before I let you go, Coach, what advice would you give an assistant coach who is looking to climb the defensive coaching ladder?
Be patient. That's most key. Be patient and keep learning. Like go to these clinics. I mean, there's so many clinics out there. You got the Glacier Drive you can go into. You got thousands and thousands of clinics on the Glacier, and network. You know, you don't know who gonna become the next DC, the next head coach. Like, make sure you carry yourself well everywhere you go. You know, like the way I dress right now, like that's pretty much why I dress. Even when I just go to the mall, like you just never know who you gonna bump to. Make sure you carry yourself well. Make sure you take care of the kids. Like that's one thing I was taught by one of my mentors. He's now the director of recruit for Texas A&M, on David Cooney. And he told me, in order for you to continue to climb the ladder, you got to develop a good relationship with the kids, develop a good relationship with the college coaches, and continue to grow as an individual. So me, I'm constantly going to clinics, and I learned throughout being a coach and being a married coach, I bring my whole family with me. So every time, like even in the convention DC, I brought the whole family with me. So they was going, you know, to the White House and everything while, you know, we was doing our thing. So, and that's another advice I would love to give to coaches, man. Make sure your family involved, even if, you know, it's your wife, you know, making hot dogs for the team, peanut butter jelly for the team, spaghetti for the team. Get your kids involved. If it's being a warrior boy or something, make sure they stay involved with what you do. And I guarantee you have a long career, because if not, something got to have to give.
something. And the only way that you can stack those years up is if you have the correct supporting cast. So it's a very, very good wisdom and great feedback. All right. So, well, thank you for listening to the Offseason 365 podcast. I'm Coach Simmons here with Coach Colson. Man, we signing off.
Today's episode is sponsored by Dynasty Athletic Performance and NC Football Connections.